Have you ever met someone in your life and felt that deep, unexplainable pull toward them, as if something far greater than coincidence was writing the story? Maybe you crossed paths in the most unexpected way. Maybe you both came from completely different worlds, yet somehow it felt like destiny had orchestrated that meeting. So often we question, is this just chance? Or is God Himself whispering into my heart that this person is meant for me? When it comes to love, connection, and relationships, we sometimes get lost in our own emotions and doubts. But when God is at work, there are signs, subtle but powerful, that reveal His plan. And if you're listening closely, your spirit will begin to recognize them. Think about it. Life is filled with millions of possibilities. You could have been anywhere, doing anything, yet God placed you in the exact moment where your paths crossed with theirs. That itself is not an accident. The Bible reminds us that God directs our steps, and if He cares enough to guide us through the small details of life, then surely He also cares about the people we love, the people we choose, the people who walk with us through joy and hardship. Sometimes, when He wants you to be with someone, He will create openings that no one else could have created. He will close doors that you kept trying to force open, only to gently nudge you toward the one door that was meant for you all along. But here's the thing. God doesn't usually shout from the heavens or write it in the sky. He speaks through peace. He speaks through alignment. He speaks through confirmation in your spirit that doesn't fade when the emotions settle down. If you've ever met someone and felt a peace that was so unshakable, a stillness that reassured you deep inside, that peace could very well be the whisper of God telling you, yes, this is good. When God wants you with someone, it doesn't mean life will be perfect, but it does mean that He will plant a seed of certainty in your heart that keeps growing stronger instead of weaker. You may notice how conversations with them feel different, almost effortless, like you can finally breathe. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to wear masks. You don't have to shrink who you are just to be accepted. Instead, with them, you feel safe to be the truest version of yourself. That's not just chemistry. That's purpose. God brings the right people into our lives, not just for romance, but for partnership, for growth, for calling. The right person will not distract you from God, but bring you closer to Him. Have you ever realized that when you pray with someone, when you share your faith with them, when you talk about your struggles, and they respond with grace instead of judgment, your bond strengthens in a way that nothing else in this world can replicate? That's because love without God is fragile, but love with God at the center is unshakable. Now, let me tell you something personal. Maybe you've been through heartbreak. Maybe you've been through loneliness, those nights when you asked God why He hasn't sent the right one yet. You see other people getting engaged, getting married, building families, and you wonder, Lord, did you forget about me? But let me assure you, God has not forgotten. Sometimes the waiting is not punishment, it's preparation. If God is preparing you for someone, He's also preparing them for you. And when the time is right, when your hearts are ready, the meeting will happen in a way that makes you look back and say, now I understand why I had to wait. Now I see why nothing else worked out. One of the clearest signs that God wants you with someone is alignment. Not just surface level alignment, not just we like the same movies or we both like pizza, but alignment in values, in faith, in vision. Because here's the truth. Attraction can fade, emotions can shift, but values last. If you're both walking toward God, if you're both pursuing purpose, then being together doesn't pull you off course, it accelerates you. Suddenly their dreams support your dreams, their prayers strengthen your prayers, and you begin to realize that two are truly better than one. Sometimes God's confirmation comes through others. Maybe your family sees something in them. Maybe your closest friends notice how different you are around them, how peaceful, how joyful, how alive. People who genuinely love you can often see signs you overlook because you're too close to the situation. It's not about letting people decide for you, but God often uses the voices of those who care for you to confirm what He's already whispering in your spirit. Another sign is how obstacles are handled. Every relationship faces trials, but when God wants you with someone, you'll find that challenges don't break you apart. They bring you closer. Instead of tearing each other down, you lift each other up. Instead of running away at the first sign of difficulty, you both choose to stay and fight together. That resilience, that commitment, that decision to love through the storm, that is evidence of something deeper than just human willpower. It's God's hand strengthening the bond. And let's not forget timing. Sometimes you meet the right person at the wrong time, and it doesn't work. But when it's God's timing, things flow. It doesn't mean there won't be effort, but the doors that need to open will open naturally. You won't have to manipulate, you won't have to beg, you won't have to force. God's timing carries grace, and that grace makes even the impossible possible. You may also feel conviction in your heart. When you're with the wrong person, there's often unease, a restlessness, something that doesn't sit right no matter how much you try to ignore it. But when you're with the right one, the one God approves of, you feel alignment with His Word. You feel encouraged in your faith. And instead of guilt or confusion, there is clarity. You begin to imagine a future with them not out of desperation, but out of genuine peace and hope. Think about how Jesus described love. It is patient, it is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. When God wants you to be with someone, these qualities begin to show up not just in words but in actions. They may not be perfect, none of us are, but you'll see their effort, their heart, their genuine care for you. And in return, you'll notice that you want to become a better version of yourself too, not because they pressure you, but because being around them inspires you to grow. Sometimes the sign is simply that you can't imagine your life without their presence, not in a needy way, but in a way that says, this person feels like home. You could be anywhere in the world, doing anything, and if they are with you, it feels right. That sense of belonging is not easy to find, and when it's blessed by God, it will stand the test of time. So maybe you've been asking yourself, is this person from God? Is this really who I'm supposed to be with? The answer may not come overnight, but here's what I can promise you. If it is from God, it will not lead you away from Him. It will not drain the life out of you. It will not confuse your spirit. Instead, it will bring you peace. It will bring you clarity. It will bring you closer to the person God created you to be. Remember, relationships are not just about happiness. They're about holiness. God doesn't just want you to be with someone who makes you smile. He wants you to be with someone who helps you grow, who challenges you to love more deeply, who points you back to Him when life gets overwhelming. That kind of love is rare, but it is real. And when you find it, you'll know deep down, it's not just love, it's destiny. So take heart. If God wants you to be with someone, He will make it clear. He will align your paths. He will confirm it through peace. He will give you the strength to endure together, and He will open doors no man can shut. You don't have to chase what God has already written for you. Trust Him. Trust His timing. And when you finally see the pieces coming together, when you look into their eyes and realize that every detour, every heartbreak, every unanswered prayer led you here, you'll know with certainty, this was not an accident. This was God's plan all along. So if you've been searching for clarity, if you've been wondering whether God truly wants you to be with someone, remember this. When it is from Him, there will be peace, there will be purpose, and there will be love that points you back to the Creator. You don't have to chase it, you don't have to force it. What is meant for you will always find you. Trust His timing, trust His process, and hold on to hope. Because when God writes your love story, it will always be worth the wait.